Yom Sheni Parashas Vayera or Le Yud Gimel Mar Cheshvan Toshin Pei Beis. We hope B'siyata D'Shmaya to start a series on the topic of Kabbalas Yisurim Be'ahava. Being able to accept pain Be'ahava, that means a person accepts it and knows Hashem is doing what's good for him. And this is a topic that any person that's exposed to Yiddishkeit knows about this topic and heard a lot about it. But the more a person tries, b'siyata d'shmaya, to learn it from the beginning, from the bottom up, there's a lot of little details that could make the world of a difference. A person should really understand it better, and to find in which little box, in which file the person's situation is right now. And throughout a person's life, a person has various matzav and situations like this, like that, and a person could understand, now maybe I'm supposed to be learning more of this part of the topic, that part of the topic. It's very broad, and when it comes to bitochen and emunah, and if we call it tzadik v'raloi, all the above, really we can't understand if we don't really learn the topic of what is Yisurim and why a person is supposed to accept it, how a person is supposed to accept it, and why this is happening to people. And a lot of things are clear once we learn this topic of Kabbalas Yisurim Be'ahava. Now, before we start the topic, we must learn some introductions, which is simple introductions. And the number one is that this is a topic that every single person, every single day, experiences. It's not a topic for people that are going through some kind of crazy story and we need to take them out on a Shabbaton and this big speaker should come and tell them how to understand the pain that they're going through, or they should have this professional giving them advice and helping them through what are you feeling. Of course, there are situations where people are going through, experiencing really deep pain, and it's not simple, and we need to come together and to be machazak on each other. But in the Torah perspective, every single person, every single day goes through some kind of Yisurim, like we'll learn, and it's important for us to know about it, know how to deal with it. And we're not used to thinking that way, because how to deal with it, Baruch Hashem, I'm fine. These little things, that's my problem. It's not about a problem. It's not like you can't continue day without it, and if you're an adult and you know how to handle hard things that you're going through, painful things, then you're good. No. Yisurim, like we're going to learn in the Gemara Masechtas Erech Daf Tezayin, is any small little thing. The most minor thing that happened to you throughout the day is part of this topic, and that's why it's so important to learn it and study it and really figure out what does Hashem want we should be thinking. How do we train our minds to be thinking in the right way? Now, not only is it's negeya for every person every day, it's also a topic that's fundamental for Yiddishkeit, for being a Yid, because in Kriya Shema, we say, "V'afta Hashem Elokecha b'chol levovecha v'chol nafshecha u'b'chol moedecha," and the Mishnah says in Masechtas Brachos that the whole topic of accepting a situation that's painful and not getting upset and understanding that Hashem is doing it for me and it's good for me and being able to accept it the right way is part of Kriya Shema. That is the literal meaning, that a person should love Hashem b'chol moedecha. Moedecha, the Mishnah says, means every b'chol midah u'midah, that Hashem is moeded with you, which means any situation that comes upon you and you weren't ready for it and it was disappointing, anything that's disappointing, even that you were of course capable of just in 2 seconds later go back to life. Okay, I know how to handle disappointment. Okay, but that might be only chokhmas chaim, like we call it. When you are only knowing how to cope, that's beautiful. Even in Yiddishkeit it's beautiful, but that's not really learning the topic. That's only because you know you're not going to go make a big issue about it. And of course, it is also negeya for every person. Every person has to learn it and understand it, because as we see, every person in life, every single person goes through bigger parshas, bigger stories, painful situations, and we must know what it is and prepare ourselves to be able to think right and to act right, to talk the way we're supposed to when people experience it. Now, when we want to go into the sugya, start learning it, I think it's most important that we should learn Al Pi Torah, how does the Torah view what is Yisurim? What is pain? Not about how to accept it, that's next. That's the second step. We refer to Yisurim, to pain. You ask a person what it is, we always think about it and only the part that we experienced, the part that touched us, that hurt us, that's what we refer to when we say pain. Someone got embarrassed. If we'll take that as an example. So, there's something happened. That means, let's say it was a child of theirs that misbehaved in public. So something happened. The child did this, the child did that, and whatever. And then, there's a factor that I was standing there, and there was a person that knows me, or two people that know me, and it wasn't appropriate, and I was embarrassed. Now, the person refers to the Yisurim only the part that hit him, that part that he experienced, that's what he felt, and that's pain. That's why people a lot of times feel there's no need to explain what pain is. If you have to talk about it, then you don't know what my pain nobody has to explain. That's what people feel. We won't have to make a shir about it, what pain is. But it's not true. It's not true. Because even though we very much know how it feels, a painful moment, but like we said, it's only what we experienced. There's a famous story of the Tzanzerov. The Tzanzerov lost a daughter, very, very young, and she left young Yisoimim, and it was a tragedy. It wasn't simple. And it was Friday afternoon that he had to be by his daughter's levaya. And then he came to shul, Shabbos to daven. The minhag, a lot of Rebbes, that they put on a talis Friday night for davening. And when you put on a talis, there's the psukim of Baruch Nafshi Es Hashem. There's a few psukim that you say before we put on a talis. Baruch Nafshi Es Hashem is the words that David HaMelech sings to Hashem. He thanks and he Baruch Nafshi Es Hashem. And the Chassidim saw the Tzanzerov, how he's super excited saying Baruch Nafshi Es Hashem. And they were standing there and they were wondering, how is it possible? A human being, he's in pain. He's experiencing such a tragedy, and he could say it with a simcha. And he turned around and he saw their faces, that they're stunned, how he could do that. And he said this very famous mashal. He said, if you would be walking in the street and you feel a big bang on your shoulder and you get upset and mad, what happened? Who's slapping me? And then you turn around and you see it's your good friend and he just gave you a tap on the shoulder. So then, within a split second, you just give him a hug. You're so excited to meet him. So he said, okay, I got a zetz, I got a big bang, but then if I remember who did it to me, he said, the best to good to friend. My best friend, Hashem, you did nefesh, did that to me. So that was like Hashem tapping me on the shoulder. He's close to me, so that's so exciting. And that's how I could say Baruch Nafshi. That's what he said. Now usually, when the story is repeated, our understanding to the story, the chizuk from the story, is that every time a person goes through a hardship, they should remember it's Hashem, and Hashem really loves you, and Hashem knows what's best for you, and we don't understand, we can't comprehend, and that's it. But to our topic, there's a deeper understanding too, to this story. When you get a bang, the reason why a person gets upset is because he doesn't have the full information of what happened. He's missing the information of what happened. It's like when someone's sitting and something falls on your head. You don't know what, you don't know why. You have no idea, something fell. The mind cannot comprehend what happened. We're missing 99% of information. But then, when you pick up your head and you see nobody's at fault, and so on, you calm down because you have more information about what's going on here. Every single situation that a person goes through, every painful situation, there are a lot there is a ton of information. There is a ton of information that we could understand on what happened now. And this is information that the Torah wanted we should know and study. Just know what happened. When you know what happened, even though you're experiencing the painful part, which is painful, but for some reason it dilutes the pain. It's not so painful because it's like only part of a picture. Okay, it's painful, but you see that it's part of a broader picture. Another famous example is when kids get shots. They go to the doctor, so it hurts. For a second it hurts. Now they don't understand what's going on. So sometimes they just lose it and start screaming. You have to hold them down, or a dentist, or whatever it is. An adult, it also hurts. It hurts for a second, but there's the understanding what's happening, that's all. You're just understanding, so you say, okay, this for this. It's just going to take a second, and it's very important that I should be getting this shot, and then we just continue on. So the more a person invests in understanding what Yisurim is, what pain is, it starts putting their situation in perspective, even though it's painful, even though it's really hard. So, what is Yisurim? What is pain? The interesting thing is that the Gemara explains us what pain is, and the Gemara gives us a broader understanding. So what's going to come out from the Gemara is we're going to see that all types of pains, and there are many, and it's painful just to think about things that people go through. They're all in the same barrel. Fascinating. The Gemara says, Ad heichan tachlis Yisurim, and this is the Gemara in Erchin, the Masechta Erchin, Daf Teh Zayin Amud Beis. The Gemara says, till where is the extent what we could call pain? And then the Gemara says, the first example, that a person gave money and invested and make himself a beggar, a new garment, and after paying and working and whatever, he comes and it's not the right size. Now, you can't really do much about it. It's like when there's too little salt, you could add salt, but when there's too much salt, no, not much you could do. You made it big, you sewed it up and everything, and it's not the right size. That's when you see these advertisements, if anybody wants a size small, brand new. This is what happened. The Gemara's example. This is the Gemara's example. And then the Gemara says, so that's Yisura. That's Yisura. Now an adult could think, okay, you could get over it. True. It didn't say, whoever said Yisura means something that's going to haunt you now for a month. Yisura, it was painful. It was a disappointment. And then the Gemara goes on and says, nah, that's already called a choshav of disappointments. Really, the Gemara continues on. If a person asks someone to pour him a cup of wine, and he wanted it hot, and they served him cold, or the opposite, he wanted it cold, they served him hot. So that's like minor, that's less, but that's also Yisur. And then the Gemara continues on that even that's called a real disappointment. And Yisurim pain is even when something is smaller than that. And the Gemara's example is, someone puts the hand into the pocket, and they plan on taking out 3 coins, and just 2 came out. That's also in the category of Yisurim, of pain. That's the Gemara. The adjustment that the person has to do to his life after this blow is to put his hand into his pocket and take out the 3 coins. It's there. But he meant to take it out in the first round. Strike 1. He wanted to check him out. That's called Yisurim. And the Gemara is like, it's a wonder, continues on and saying, like, what's the point? Why is it so important to learn this? Asks the Gemara. And the Gemara says, because every person must go through pain constantly. As it says in the Gemara. And if someone is living their life and for 40 days didn't experience Yisurim pain, then they should be very worried about what's going on with them. It might be that Hashem is just throwing them away, and they got the whole of them haba here, and they're in really bad shape. So, if a guy could say, Baruch Hashem, for the past 2 years, things are kind of stable. Baruch Hashem. So they could get worried, because 40 days is already problematic. So a person should try to remind themselves, if they meant to close the light and they missed the light switch and they had to go back. Like these kind of situations. This is Gemara, simple Gemara, Masechtas Erech. Now, if we want to understand, now let's go to the other side. What else is pain? This is like pretty exciting to talk about such pain. If that's the whole, then there's huge things that happen. This physical pain, or whatever, can't sleep in bed because they can't manage the pain. They have to take painkillers and who knows what. And even after that, it only calms down. People can't be in the room. People can't watch a person suffering. Well, there's real pain. Then, if we were talking about emotional pain, there's so much of emotional pain. Friendships that get broken. Anything. There's so much pain. There's a ton of pain in this world. But there's a common denominator. And that's what the Gemara wants to teach us. There's a common denominator between things that have situations that are very, very painful. And they could take years. And they could take a person's life and make them have 50% of their chiyas, 50% of the excitement of life, and then this pain, it's like people will always like nothing. The Gemara puts it, they're all part of one mahalach. And what is that? It goes like this. We are nivroim. That means we got created. We're creations. Hashem is the creator. All of the nivroim, all of us, not only people, human beings also, but all the things that got created, the creations, constantly need to be fed their needs. We need to eat, and if we don't have, then we're missing it, and we're starving. Thirsty, we don't manage. In the same way we need to eat and we need to drink, there's thousands of needs for every single person, constantly every single day. They need to have money to cover bills. There's a need for a person to be around other people and have company. There's a need for a person to have a minimal amount of kavod. It means respect. Simple respect as a human being. Not that people should embarrass him or even think about him that he's not from the guys. These are tzrochen, these are needs that as a human being needs as a human being. And it goes on and on the list. And then there are the main needs of a person for the nefesh, for the guf, and then there's every single day with their needs. It means I needed to have the bank open, and I ran, and I gave up an appointment by the doctor because it was so important for me, and if it's tomorrow I'm going to lose a ton of money, and I can't really fix it, and I came, and the guy slammed the door at me, he said it was a real need, it was a tzorich for that day. And Yisurim means when a person didn't get their needs. That's what pain is. That's it. One description from the most important thing in life to the smallest thing that we saw in the Gemara. It's all the same idea that a person, their needs weren't met.
Is it that they didn't get their needs, or that part of that was taken away? In other words, in the example you gave where the person's kid did something embarrassing, and is embarrassed, what need is not getting met?
What need is not getting met when a person is standing in public and he went through a situation that he's deeply embarrassed? They have a need to have respect, and right now they're missing that. It was taken away.
It was taken away.
Yeah, but it's not important to stress the part that was taken away, which is true.
Yeah.
Because soif kol soif, the bottom line is that right now they're missing something.
He doesn't have what he needs.
They're really missing something. Something that every person needs, and right now they don't have it. It's very hard to survive to feel like you're living when you're missing something. It's not different when you're supposed to be saying something and you forgot. Or you. I once was watching a situation. A person didn't eat a whole day, and they were counting on a meal, and they prepared a plate. I watched it, and it was not long ago. It was amazing. And they prepared a plate, and they put the fork in, and lifted the fork. That was the story. Lifted the fork, and the Adam Choshev walk into the room and stare at him, and he had to jump up and say Shalom Aleichem. And that Adam Choshev sat down with him and started talking and talking and talking and talking, and that was the end. That was the end of the play. This situation happens to us. It doesn't have to be with a fork. A person needs so many things just for the soul, to have Yishuv Adas, to be able to have a family, to be able to have a home, everything, and there are things coming up. He's missing it. He's missing it. A person can have a family sitting by the Shabbos table, and one teenager misbehaves, and they do not have their needs. A family needs to have a suda. He needed it. The people sitting here needed it. It was a tzorich, and they didn't get it. But in order to get a deeper explanation in this, there's one more factor. When we talk about tzrochim, the needs of a person, we just mentioned our very deep tzrochim for the soul, the simple things that a person needs, the things that I'll manage without, like we saw. But then there's another factor in how badly was I feeling that I need it. That means, like, how thirsty was I when I was holding that cup that fell down, there was no other cup to drink. How thirsty was I? It means it's very important to drink, but the thirsty is explaining what I'm feeling beforehand. That means I need it so badly. Now, it's not always connected the two, which means there's a person that needs $1 million. It could be very, very important for him, and he needs it because it's a choiv, and the bank wants to, who knows what, do to him and sell his house. He's not playing games. He needs $1 million. But for some reason, or Hashem gave him this kind of nature that he's like, it'll be good, or he's working on himself and his bitochen, or it's mixed the two. But right now, he's not so thirsty for it, like he's Baruch Hashem schmoozing around with his friends. Maybe because the due date is in 3 months. But fact is that today, he's not so thirsty for that. Then there could be needs that are not so crazy important for the person, but it's very, very, very painful because the person felt that he needs it. And sometimes he was right for thinking so, and sometimes he did it on his own, and there was no point in it. Like, why did you get yourself into this? But it doesn't make a difference. That's not what we're discussing. It means, for example, a person wanted a certain job, and they got all heated up about it. That's what I want. Who could I get should get me that job? And they were hoping, well, up all night, like looking at the messages. It came through, refreshing. They got all into it, and then, no. That's explaining how thirsty the person is for something. So both of these measures, like, are explaining how painful it's going to feel for the person. And again, we're not discussing right and wrong. We're discussing the metzias. What is pain? That's pain. And even though every single person, the situations that they go through, the pain is different and unique, never two people had the same experience. And sometimes it's not geschmack to say this, but I'm just saying it because that's what sometimes goes through my mind, and it could explain it, so I'm saying it. Sometimes what comes through my mind when I hear crazy stories, another crazy story, that Hashem is creative. What does it mean? Every time something like out of the blue, sometimes people that are like just walking around not thinking and not maybe aware of what's going on could think like Mistam, there's like the three main nisyonos. That's like they think in their mind. That the people that got Yana Machla maybe, this, and that's a nisoyan that happens. And then there's people that have the nisoyan of Parnosa, the whole Parnosa, and maybe kids that are struggling with Yiddishkeit. Whatever. And then there's just every day something so unique, something so different. And it's amazing. And that's because Hashem is orchestrating for the person. It's so designed. It's so designed every time different because this person needed something different. But where we're up to today, right now in the Shir is that all of the above, every single one of the unique cases have one description. And it's important because we'll see as we continue on. So of course the bottom line is, what should you do now? I'm lost. I don't know how to continue. What are you missing? Sometimes a person is missing the decision. He doesn't know what to do now. Sometimes a person is missing, like we said before, even when a person has physical pain. A person has a need not to have physical pain. You're not supposed to be aware that you have a foot. If you know about it, it's, how many people, if everything is going right, years go by and they don't remember they have teeth. It's not part of their life. And part of the reason is because if they don't look in the mirror, they never saw it.
This year I had a kidney stone. Only then did I realize I had a kidney. I never knew what they were.
Yeah, if you're talking about the organ inside the liver. Yeah, but boy is it a person in trouble if they know about the liver. So the what we're trying to bring out is it's all needs. A person needs to have a functioning liver, and a person needs to have a functioning everything in their life. And when something is, they're missing it. In Kabbalah, and it's also very important to understand it in practical life. I'm not just adding it to throw an idea in Kabbalah. I don't know if I'm going to be successful in explaining it, but it's not deep. I'm just missing the vocabulary to be able to explain it. The idea of all of the above, that you're not getting your needs, is because Hashem's way of running the world is chesed and gevura. Chesed is Hashem is just showering abundance constantly. And in any given moment, a person is experiencing that. If their eyes are working, that's like thousands of details of shefa, of abundance, that's working. And if different things in their life are working out, and Baruch Hashem they have a house, and Baruch Hashem they have, so they're being showered with chesed constantly. And that's what Hashem does. Hashem is, forever is His goodness. Again and again, every single day, for every single person. That's what Hashem is doing constantly. But along with that, there's a hanhog, there's a system that Hashem, for every single person, always runs the world and brings this abundance to the person with a tzimtzum. It contracts it. It limits it, that it should come in a limited way, that they should be missing something. If we would look at it in human eyes, even though when we're talking about Hashem, it's so much deeper, it's like if we would explain that Hashem designs the coming Tuesday for the person. And says, okay, just more, tells the malacha, shower them with good, more. Okay, then it's the full page, and the person has all their needs, for everything Hashem goes and takes out, okay? For the shleimus of the person, this and this and this should be missing. That's how it has to be. We'll learn why. But that is the chesed and the gvura. Gvura is that Hashem limits certain things, the need shouldn't come to the person. And this has absolutely no difference if a person is a tzaddik or not. No, it has nothing to do with that. This has nothing to do with Avedas. Nothing to do with Avedas. And that's why it's every single person. In small things it's daily. We don't care about it. That's why you ask a person how he's doing on a good day. Nothing went wrong. He feels stupid. Like, why are you asking me these crazy questions? I'm doing fine, I promise you. But the fact that the printer didn't work in the morning, 9 o'clock, and he was like, it didn't work, and he went, nothing happened. He emailed, and then someone printed it for him. And all these little examples, why didn't the printer work? L'man Hashem. Why? It's Hashem's world. It's perfect. There's no reason for it besides Hashem decided, okay, the printer. And if we pay attention, we're going to realize it. That every single day, this and that happens. Now, on the other hand, we know that Hashem is good for everybody, lakoil, every single person, even not person, koil, everything, all creations, constantly are getting from Hashem's goodness. And we say in benching, when we were this fourth bracha in benching, Hatoiv v'hameitiv lakoil, Hashem constantly is only giving, and we say Shebechol yoyim v'yoyim, every single day, Hu heitiv, Hu meitiv, Hu yetiv lanu. He did to us, He gave us good, in the past, and in the present, and the future, constantly. And the Svarim explain that there isn't even a second that Hashem doesn't do chesed with us, to every single person. There isn't any loopholes. There isn't any person that He can say besides Him. Like there's a guy on the block that maybe he's not really getting from the chesed from Hashem. Maybe he's like the Shabbos guy. I don't know. One guy, he's like Nebuch. There's no such a thing. Even deeper than that, Hashem created the world only in order to be able to be meitiv. That's what the Ramchal also explained. Which means that every person that was created, it was because if this person wouldn't have been created, they would have been missing, because Hashem wanted to be meitiv more. So that's the whole reason why you were created. So Hashem should have the ability to be able to give more abundance, to be able to give more goodness. And the same exact idea is with every day. This day was created for you, so Hashem could shower with you with goodness. Hamachadesh, it doesn't only say that Hashem is machadesh b'chol yom tov and ma'aseh b'reishis, amazing, which means every single day Hashem recreates the whole bria and it's new, and it says hamachadesh b'tuvoy b'chol yom tov, with this goodness, with kindness. So a person has a day that today's day was bad. That's what it was. They're strong and they say, Hashem should help, I'll go to sleep, and tomorrow should be a better day. No, there isn't such a thing. It's not possible such a metzias, because Hashem created the world. Now people go through rough days, and for some reason there's like, when it rains it pours. Some days you can see the pattern. By 2 PM, you're like, I think we should make Ma'ariv and let's close down the store 2:00. I see the way it's going. So how does these two things? How do these two sugyas? It's like the Eibush is only meitiv, only toiv, and the topic that we learned at the whole beginning of the shir, that every single person has to go through hardships and it's part of the bria. And Hashem gives you all your needs, but then some not. Every single person experiences getting millions of things that they need, and some things they don't get. What's the idea? So the simple answer is, it must be that it's good for us that the fact that I'm not getting those needs is also toif. And the perfect balance for a person in this bria is to be always in that situation. A person should be getting all their needs besides whatever they're missing. And every person is missing different things. And that puts a person in the mushlim situation, that's how it's supposed to be. Now, of course, people could ask, but not everybody is experiencing the same amount of pain in their life. Some people look like they are learning that Gemara and Erchen. They're being yoytze, yisurim, with little nourish, little things that don't make no difference. And some people are having a painful life. A ton of pain all around everything. We need to continue on the following parts of the topic of Kabbalas Yisurim B'Ahava to reach that. But it's important to remember, even before we go into deep explanations, it's very important to remember that people have different stages in life. And so many times, it's such a simple answer. We look at people and we watch them for the past 10 years, 20 years, and they're the guy in the shul that money they have, and they have a nice, loving family, and Baruch Hashem, they're very happy people. And then there's the other person that everything, he got stuck in so many different areas. Yeah, but you only know him for 20 years. This fellow is 65. He moved here for a reason when he was 45. Yeah, he moved away from somewhere, and he had years that he struggled hard, and it's just a simple answer, which it doesn't answer all the scenarios, all the cases, but it does take off another 20%. It's true. It's true. People have situations in their life that they're not managing, like their mom is not managing. A close friend of mine, which I remember, also, he's that age, I think he's exactly 65. You have to look at people later in their life. Looking at people when they're young doesn't give the picture. Because everything has a cheshbon. You have to look later on. He's exactly 65. Right now, he's managing beautifully, and he's financially and other things. I remember, I'm saying it as is, sorry if he lost all his money. But losing the money is one part of it. But became a Bal Choiv from hundreds of thousands of dollars and had to run away. I remember, he doesn't live in New York. He fled. He ran away from his family, from everything, because he had to run away because of what happened. And he was there for weeks, if not more, himself, not knowing any idea how it's possible to crawl out. And you know when it was? It was September 11, 2001. And the joke went around by people that him and another fellow, not a nice joke, they regretted that they weren't in the building, that they weren't in the Twin Towers. Now, I'm just saying it to bring out, right now, this person, it took 15 years, he was in that situation. And one nice day, I was with him every single day when it happened to change. One nice day, Hashem decided it's finished. No explanation. It's finished. All of a sudden, things started shooting up, and now he's a gewaltige balzdok. Fact. Yeah, it's one, just because it's like a poll, like one out of every 100 people you could say it's such a story. But 15 years, when someone is 12 years and it's like, this is it, this is his lifetime, he said, no. And he told to me these words, he said, Hashem wanted for 15 years, I should go through this situation. That's what happened. Now, it's important this year is to explain that before we reach the topic, anything to do with Averis, nothing to do with that, this is the system how Hashem created the Bria. This is how this works. Now let's continue. The number one reason why this has to be in the Bria is to solve the biggest problem we have in life. And that is that if a person disconnects from Hashem, which the main disconnector is with gaiva, with arrogance, gaiva, then a person disconnects. When a person disconnects, everything goes wrong. Everything. Because it is disconnected from the source of life and source of ruchnis, this world, the coming world, we lose everything. That's the biggest issue. A lot of things cause us to have gaiva, averis or whatever, but a person, Hashem created a person, a human being, that they could do everything. It's not normal what a person could do and create. A person can create and have children and things that don't make any sense, that a human being should be able to do so many things. But the Pasuk says in Tehillim, a person has koiches that are, I don't know how, getliche koiches you say in Yiddish.
Divine
koiches. It doesn't make any sense. So of course, if a person would be in this world, and in addition to that, a person is being showered with good, with money and life and seichel constantly. So it's almost impossible not to be begaiva. it's almost impossible. So Hashem has the choice, I'm saying in that language, to make a person be like a drop more than a behemoth. Just walking around, just eating some grass. Hashem created the Bria in a way, no. Be all the way up. That means a person is going to be able to reach such heights that they never believe they will be able to. But there will be these little reminders that a person doesn't have any way how to help himself. And it comes by surprise, because the disappointments come by surprise, because if it would be planned, like 2 p.m. you're going to be experiencing kach v'kach, then a person is in control. So a person was put in a situation that he feels is in control. And constantly he's doing things feeling is totally in control. But then, the printer doesn't work. That's all. When he totally didn't expect it, and he's running, and the car is waiting, and the kid is crying, boom. And instead of getting frustrated, we smirk. That's like the mahalach a person is supposed to take when we talk about the printer. Yeah, we smirk and we say, oh, that's true. I almost forgot. I almost forgot that I'm not in control. That was a cute reminder. Okay, that's the idea of a person that's what a person is supposed to learn. The Sifri, in Parshas Eikev, it says that Hashem is meyaser a person. Meyaser gives Yisurim, makes a person suffer. So the Sifri says, Hashem elikecho miyasereka. Hashem makes you suffer. So the Sifri says that what is Hashem's name? Because whoever suffers, Hashem is with him. Whoever is in pain, you should know Hashem is with you. Why? Just because when a person is in pain, so they are nichna, they're humble. They feel that they're not in control. So that's it. That's what Hashem wanted, that a person should be in that state of mind. Now, instead, when a person gets frustrated, and they get upset, and they start verbalizing it, and pushing the printer 100 times again and again, that's when they're doing the exact opposite. That's where we have Bechira. We're supposed to be choosing between Tov and Ra. That's when Hashem was like, oh, that's so stupid, because if that's the case, then your printer could have worked. There was no point. The whole point was just to say hi. And now a person needs it constantly, and every person in their level of Yiddishkeit that they are, the reminders are designed for them.
So what's coming out of that is that it's important that a person pay attention to those.
100%. What's coming out of that is that a person must pay attention to these minor disappointments. It's amazing. And the Hasidic Yisrael said clearly, it told us and a lot of Sforim. Don't ignore them, because you're Baruch Hashem doing fine. By ignoring them, it's not, what's happening is they're not getting the message. And Hashem has to wake you up by making a louder noise.
Because we would almost think it's a good midah, a person that things don't bother him.
Things don't bother him. But really what's behind that is, I'm just fine, I'm managing, it's fine. Sometimes the guy's in public and something's happening and people are watching him and he's like, it's fine, I'm managing. No. It's not. He can maybe say that, but we're talking about the feeling inside. The feeling inside is, you see, it's not like I want it. Sometimes you see Erlich people and they say it comes from such a true place in their heart. They're humble. And they also have very big nisyonis, but a person learns how to remember, I wanted one way. It wasn't like I wanted. I didn't want this to happen. It wasn't like I wanted. I'm not in control. Besides being Mekayim Doraisa, while you're doing that, you are training yourself to live healthy, but not healthy, quote unquote, emotionally healthy, which is also true, but it's much more than that. You're living the way Hashem designed the world, that's how people should live. Hashem wants from the person to do that. In the 3 words, Makabel, Yisur, and Vahav, it's 3 words. The main part of the shir, we were elaborating on the word Yisurim, suffering, pain. We're now not talking about Bahava, no, we're not talking about that. We're talking about Makabel. How do we give the right definition for accepting the way Hashem wants? Hashem wants the person to remember, I'm not in control, Hashem did it. Hashem wanted it. Now, it's so important because some people, when they experience deep disappointment or a minor disappointment, they just ignore and they just go on in life. I don't know, we'll see next. But some people start fighting. Now, the stronger the disappointment is, the bigger the fight they put up, because they fight. Some people fight, I don't want to say physically, but they fight in this Gashmizdika world, and some people fight with tefillah. That means right away, when they experience the disappointment, boom, they're starting now to change it. They want now, they're going to go to Miron and they're going to get 40 people to say Tillim for them, and they're going to give it tzedakah, and they're going to change it. It's fine, till tomorrow it's done. I believe, and then they tell themselves, I believe 1,000% Hashem is going to change it. You're going to see. And you can tell in their mind that what are you doing? Not how. You're using the tools of Ruchnius to fight. Okay. Well, what are you doing? You're not accepting it. You're not, no, this is not an answer. Like, I'm not taking no,
it's a way of trying to control.
Yeah, you're trying to control. And it's chaval. Because Hashem could, and in a lot of cases, and maybe in most cases, will give it to you if you don't fight. But if you're fighting, then Hashem has to hold it back because you're not getting the message. It's the Gemara Masechtas Brochas of Samach Beis says that Kabbalah the Yisuri, if a person wants to, we learn from our rabbis, what should a person do when they experience pain? Shtikusa umiboy rachmi. First silent, then you could daven. And we have to get to that. A person is allowed to daven, should daven. But if they didn't experience the first step, then they're not understanding what it's all about. They're not understanding what pain is, why it happened. Now, you'll never go wrong with this explanation in the mind. Because we see in Sfarim and we read in all these pamphlets and we get reminders constantly, all these good reminders that people get. It's for the good is going to come out. All true. But it's all step 2. It's all true. We have to set up the topic of Kabbalah Yisurim B'Ahava from the bottom up, because then we could be sure. In the topic of Kabbalah Yisurim B'Ahava, so many times the person is not sure. So should I believe that this is going to happen? Or maybe I shouldn't believe, or maybe I should give up? That's next. First, understand what happened. I had a need, I didn't get it. I had a desire, strong desire that something should happen. It didn't happen. I felt it's so important for me to have desire. What did I want? I wanted something so simple. And I still didn't get it. And I davened and I didn't get it. And I'm super disappointed because this tzaddik promised me I'm going to get it. People are talking like that. So let's categorize what happened. I had a strong desire and it didn't happen. It's so disappointing. It's devastating, right? It's devastating. It's not a joke. Sometimes it's so devastating the person doesn't know what to do with themselves. But what happened? Their needs weren't met. That's what happened. But Hashem could do it. Hashem right now decided not to do it to the person. And that brings achnoah. Even if it was the best thing for them. That means even if it was, they wanted a certain shidduch, and Hashem saved them, saved their whole future by holding back the shidduch from them. And 10 years later down the line, they look back and they say, wow, it was the best thing for me. They still skipped the first step. If they right away ran by telling themselves, it's good, a better thing is going to come, which is true. It's 100% true. But I'm not in control. I wanted, I had a desire, it didn't happen.
So that's the tuch, that's the content of the shtikusa.
That's the content of shtikusa. Silent. Without an explanation. Because deeper in, when a person says it's for the good, they have to tell themselves, don't worry, I'm still going to get back to it. Like they fell off the bike, they run around. You could do that. You're allowed to be happy. You should be happy. But there's a certain achno. I'm just finishing off the shir to understand that it's not only so a person shouldn't have gaiva. Why is it so important? So a person shouldn't have gaiva because gaiva is not a good thing. It's even simpler than that. In order that a person should be able to be a keli, a vessel, to be able to absorb, to get abundance, which is ruchnius and this world, gashmi is everything. A person has to be nichna, a person has to be humble to be able to be on the receiving end, to be able to get, to be able to absorb all the goodness Hashem wants to give. Because if a person is a Baal Gaiva, so Ein Ani V'hu Yecholim Lo, the Chazal say, Hashem can't be with you and can't be Mashpia. So the whole reason why a person must experience hardships, which means that their needs are not being met, is only because Hashem wants to be able to give them. Always it's like that. In every case, that's the situation. If they're a tzaddik, if they're a Beinoni, if they're not doing well in Ruchnius, if Hashem wants to send them a message, that's all the coming steps. But the beginning, the Yesod, states that a person has, now this is what happened. Now when a person does that, and we need to do homework in practical way, different situations, how to do it and what we mean, in mamash low level, and every madrega, then they would automatically see more about Kivras Hashem and Chesed and good things, because it's simple, that world. It's not as gula. It's not as gula. That was the reason why Hashem created the world in that way. So a person should always stay close.
What if you say about a parent to a child or a spouse, right? So the child's suffering,
right?
And so that's the problem for the parent. And so we talked about the person who was World Trade Tower or whatever, and he got a 12-year sentence or whatever. But now maybe the child seems to have this sentence, and the parent is experiencing pain because the child is in pain, or the spouse is in pain because the other one is in pain. And it seems like, one person's going to say, you know what, this is from Hashem, and I'm quiet, and I'm holding it, and this is step one, and we'll get to step two later, but the other person is still in the pain.
So it's a very important mabit. Mabit is a risha, like Rashi, Ramban, Rashba, mabit. The mabit as a sefer Beis Elikim. In that sefer, he says clearly that every time a person is experiencing pain because a family member is suffering, and because the family member is suffering, I'm suffering just watching it and experiencing whichever way it's affecting me. So when it's a child that's, let's take a simple example, a child that's not making ends meet, and the father is like a simple case. The father it's painful for him to watch his child suffering like that. Every time it's Hashgacha Pratis, exactly how much the person that's around should suffer, and they could apply all the above to this part of the story, what I'm experiencing. This is happening with me. What the other person's experiencing and why he's experiencing, that's a total different story. Even though it seems like being just the waves of what's happening to that person.
So you wouldn't say, for example, that the pain that, let's say it's the father is having it's because it's the father's the challenge is from Hashem to the father. It's not.
Yeah. It's a challenge from Hashem to the father. The father has to be nichna.
Yeah.
That's what's happening.
Yeah.
I guess I'm supposed to be seeing this.
Yeah.
I guess this is whatever. And number one, even before I decide why this is happening and whose fault it is and if I should feel guilty, that we'll see. Yeah? Simple thought. It's hard to me. It's painful for me, but I'm not the one running this world. I'm happy that I'm not the one controlling it. Hashem is controlling it. And thank you, Hashem, for putting me into this matzah. That's it.
Vayidoim
Aharon. So important. Aaron lost 2 children, blink of an eye. Choshevet children, lost 2 children in the most happiest day. It doesn't say he danced. That's not what it says. That's it. Accept it. First, shocking. Such a shocking thing. He accepted it. It takes so much time to absorb. It's so hard. Especially when it's tragedy. Vayidoim Aharon. Who did he get schar for that? Okay. Should hear good psuras.
Amen.
Okay.